Good morning. Welcome to NewsWare's Trade Talk for Wednesday, August 5th. Let's get into the action. Take a look at the S&Ps, which are higher by 0.45%, almost 0.5%. That's very positive. I mean, the market's awaiting these details on the latest proposal to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, and that's what's really benefiting the market because there's a lot of euphoria. That there's a Middle East peace agreement. Now, the Trump administration is highlighting this agreement as a big step forward. However, you got to see the context of this agreement because it appears, from what I read, that it's more of a management arrangement for charging tolls between Iran and Oman, which does open it up, but there are fees. Now, the Trump administration has said all along that they want that strait opened and without charging any fees. There's going to be fees. So they're kind of calling this a win, but we didn't have these transit fees prior to the hostilities beginning. So I think markets will kind of, if once the narrative comes out, markets will probably pull back a little bit because they'll be caution because that's going to cause, additional percentages higher for oil prices. Today, economic data today, you get the key one is the services PMI report. You also get that EIA report coming out today. That's another stockpiles report. That's the official one. In corporate news, SpaceX delivered better than anticipated EPS results. But, their heavy CapEx spending is causing the stock to weaken. Disney shares are higher. They also had a positive EPS. But the thing is, they did a $2 billion deal to sell one of their interests. Google talked about $200 billion financing for Anthropic. That's positive. On the earnings front, we got Amgen, I got ANET, I got Borg Warner, I got CVS, I got Lilly, I got Wynn, all trading higher this morning after earnings. AMD and SpaceX are trading lower. After the bell today, we get reports from Occidental, OXY, Allstate, DoorDash, McKesson, AppLovin, WDC, and SanDisk. And then tomorrow morning, there's more earnings coming out with Datadog, EPAM, WBD, and QSR, the restaurant company. Let's take a look at the global markets. And we're taking a look at Germany, which is higher by 0.2%. It's been fluctuating between gains and losses all morning long. So you can see that the narrative here is that the DAX is very cautious because they want to see the potential economic benefits or negatives on this pending Middle East agreement that's due out. The FTSE is now lower. It was trading higher. It's now lower by 0.17%. Mining stocks are positive, though. The CAC in Paris is now higher by 0.8%. It was lower. But we are seeing gains in industrial and cyclical shares. Luxury stocks are a bit weak, though. Turning to Asia, Asia was positive. I mean, no question about it. You look at the Nikkei, and it jumped 3.66%. And really it was due to the expectations of the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz, and oil prices are moving lower. Those are two factors that are boosting their equity markets, and technologies stocks led that move higher. In Hong Kong, the market finished higher by 0.24%, although the gains were tempered by weaker than expected economic data out of China. China, on the other hand, rose 1.47% with strength in semiconductors. Now, China's July PMI data pointed to a slowing economic momentum. Their manufacturing PMI fell to a 4-month low, and the services PMI fell to its weakest level in like 2 years. Not good. Okay, let's take a look at oil. And oil is trading higher. We got WTI at $76.20 a barrel. That's up 0.57%. You got Brent at $80.22. That's up 1.08%. I mean, after 2 days of heavy selling, okay, we're seeing a little bit of a bounce higher. But the key was a Saudi vessel was said to be attacked by the Houthis group in the Red Sea. And the market is waiting on those details of that Iran-Oman agreement because they're rather silent because, that keeps the markets kind of in a cautionary stance is what you're seeing with, the DAX. EIA data, as I said, that's due out later today. API data came in late last night, indicated a build in stockpiles of 2.69 billion barrels. A draw was anticipated, so that's that's rather bearish for oil prices, to be honest with you. Okay, moving on into earnings this morning, and we got Start off with SpaceX, SPCX. Stocks lower by 10.4%. They beat by 20 cents on higher revenue, but their CapEx guidance, is kind of weighing on the stock this morning. And then we're looking at shares of Disney, ticker DIS, which are up 3.48%. They beat by $1 on higher revenue. You look at CVS, Charlie Victor Sam. That stock's trading higher by 2.65%. They beat by 73 cents, and they did that on higher revenue. Then you got Lilly, LLY. Stock's up 5.46%. Lilly beat by $1.80 on higher revenue. Upcoming, after the bell, you got DoorDash. EPS is 50 cents. Expected move 10.36%. You got McKesson, MCK. EPS is $9.44. Expected move is 7.08%. You got AppLovin, ticker APP. EPS is $3.72. Expected move is 14.01% when they announce this afternoon. Okay, let's continue. Let's move on to the economic reports, because at 8:15 this morning we're going to get the ADP employment report. At 10 a.m. you get the ISM Services Index, and then at 10:30 you get the EIA oil stockpiles report. In terms of Fed speak, we're going to hear from Fed Governor Lisa Cook today at 4:05 p.m. and then at 8:35 p.m. Eastern Time we'll be hearing from San Francisco Fed Bank President Mary Daly. Okay, let's take a look at stocks making the move this morning. Apple's trading lower this morning. But UBS is out there saying that their July App Store revenue should be higher by 1%. And there's word out there that their annual sales in India exceeded $10 billion last year. Got to talk about Google for a second, because they're setting up $200 billion in financing for Anthropic. And more than $150 billion of that is tied to TPU, so that's positive for shares of Google. What else we see here? We're moving on to DJ30 stocks. Disney selling its 50% stake in A&E Global Media for about $1.2 billion to Hearst. Salesforce, CRM, Mission Force was selected by the U.S. Army's Human Resources Command to drive decision-making. McDonald's, MCD, they came out and said too many simultaneous promotions, was affecting foot traffic. In terms of guidance, CVS raised their full year 2026 revenue to at least $414 billion. Street estimate has it at $409.48 billion, so that's a nice uptick. Eli Lilly narrowed its full year 2026 view, $35.50 to $36.50. The street estimate has it at $34.54. That's an uptick. Uber sees Q3 adjusted EPS 84 cents to 88 cents. Street estimate had it at 91 cents. Uber downtick on forward guidance. In terms of buyback news, Rambus, RMBS, they initiated a $100 million accelerated share buyback program. And Borg Warner, BWA, they increased their share repurchasing authorization by $1 billion. Positive, BWA. In terms of catalyst calls, EYPT, that's iPoint. Citibank opens up a 90-day positive upside catalyst watch on the stock. Okay, we're moving on to our pick of the day, and I'm just gonna, there's a couple ones that I like. I like, this one, I like that one for various reasons, but I'm going to stick with AppLovin because I think there is an opportunity here. I mean, the earnings are due after the bell. EPS is $3.72. Expected move is 14.01%. Call volume yesterday 15,769 versus 6,659. That's a 0.42 put to call ratio. That's nice. Open interest 133K to put open interest of 116K. Too tight that I'd like to see, but okay. But the major brokers remain raising price targets on it, so that's positive. Now, stock closed at 419. Right now it's trading 438 to 439. Listen, I want to get in under 425. I'm going to say 421 because I think there might be some initial weakness and that might create that opportunity. So I'm going to hold my powder. But I got to watch that opening price. But I do like AppLovin. That's my pick of the day. Ticker APP, Apple Paul. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about the hot stories hitting the tape over the last 15 minutes. So see if we see anything. DBGI, Digital Brands, received acquisition proposal for $77.58 per share. New York Times stock slides as subscriber growth slows. Borg Warner announces program awards in Europe and China. The news keeps getting better for BWA. AZN, no discussions over AstraZeneca Bristol-Myers deal, senior sources say. Shake Shack feels they're on track to open 60 to 65 stores this year. Shark Ninja CEOs out there saying that they're developing products using AI. Uber reports Q2 gross bookings of $58 billion, up 24% year over year. Flutter Entertainment says their CEO is going to retire. CMG, Chipotle Group, a salmonella investigation has the chain pulling jalapenos from some locations. Procter & Gamble PG, they're going to buy this supplement company, Thorne, for $3.8 billion in cash, owned by a private equity group. White House plans its voluntary advance in AI evaluations framework. They want to keep it private. Jamie Dimon's out there urging corporate leaders to join a U.S.-focused industry group to address risks posed by AI. Okay, that's all I'm seeing. Let's move on. Let's talk about our pick of the day from yesterday, which was BWA. That's Borg Warner. It was just stellar. I mean, it really was. The stock opened up at $60.81, okay? And then it hit a high of 63.38. Your 1% is there. Closed at 63.03. And this morning you got a bid offer of 65 to 66.13. So, that's like a 5% gain. So, any way you look at BWA, it was a winner. It was a good, solid pick. We're proud of it. All right, traders, that concludes today's NewsWare's Trade Talk podcast. You guys know what to do. Let's go out there and let's make some green.